Working Class on DeerCast, another episode. Kurt Geyer's here. That's me.
Doug Schmidt, that's me.
Shad Vanetti.
You're guest co-hosting.
I'm guest co-hosting. I'm fake Eric.
You're fake Eric.
Fake Eric.
You're like a cooler version of Eric.
Yeah,
No,
say better.
well, you know, people aren't really smart, so if they say I'm better, then they were.
Oh.
I mean, there's
Okay. I guess
we're
I'm not
equal
smart.
levels of
I'm not
suck,
smart,
I guess.
Okay. Casey Thompson, our good friend.
How's it going, boys?
Thanks for being here. You're very soft-spoken. You've been around the podcast for a while. You've done a lot of work at the podcast studio. Mm-hmm. Pretty much, you and Ross did all the electrical.
Yes.
If your job finds out you did a side gig, are you in trouble?
Maybe.
You think so?
No, I didn't take any money for it, so it's cool.
That's true.
It's all volunteer work.
That is true. We don't pay people around here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I think she did. She noticed,
Yeah.
You catch on?
she noticed fast.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on. Sorry, we kind of threw you right to the wolves and threw you on Working Class on DeerCast. We didn't really get to warm you up with the regular Working Class Bowhunter episode, but we just wanted to see what you're made of.
Oh boy.
So not only do you only have, you're being recorded on audio, you're being recorded on video, which makes it more fun.
No pressure.
Yeah. I was, a little concerned. Thought maybe I'd have to wear makeup today, but
Yeah, that's what I talked to
I
her.
don't wear makeup, so
We did talk. I was like, yeah, we're going to do a DeerCast episode. Do you want me to wear makeup?
I was totally joking.
I know you were. I'm like, no, it's good.
It's just
good.
it's good that I'm naturally
You should
beautiful.
just
Right.
came
I don't
in
have to wear makeup.
all queened out, just completely queened out.
In a dress.
Like, I mean, just
dress.
over the top makeup.
Like prom queen.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
I'd probably look more like a drag queen.
That's what I'm saying.
Like a prom queen.
I
yeah.
love it. Well,
Just over the top with it all.
Yeah.
no matter what, Casey, you're our queen.
Thank you.
Boom.
So, see what I did?
I appreciate it.
That's
I'm a
nice
good guy.
anyway.
So, Casey, a lot of people know you more through the regular Working Class Bowhunter family from our jokes.
Yes.
We can address those if you want. If not, we can move right past and talk deer.
I'm open. I think it's funny. It's fun. It's
When we make gay jokes, we're like, Casey approved our gay jokes. We ran them by her
Yeah.
type of thing. It's like, it's all good. We're in the book. So, it's funny.
and I like to give Kurt shit when he's in his saddle,
Yeah.
being gay part of the time.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, listen, just because you're gay doesn't mean you can call me a gay.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. I'm not down for this. But Casey, you killed a really good buck this year, and I feel like I've been included in your bow hunting journey the last few years,
Yes, for sure.
just because we have worked together at our day jobs, and I don't know, just started talking a lot, became friends and all that, and so I've got to be around for a lot of your frustrations and like changes of property, changes of states,
Yes.
changes of a lot, and you're kind of like, in a way, a little bit solo.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there's two other guys that hunt the same property I do. They're I think one's in his 60s, one is in his 70s, and they're still going at it, but their style of hunting compared to my style of hunting is totally different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do still have kind of like the hunting camp atmosphere a little bit with two older guys, but
Yeah.
which is cool. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to have some people more
In your style of hunting.
You guys are younger than
like-minded.
me, but
Yeah, but not by much.
but it's still nice to have some people that are more like super passionate about it.
Yeah, it's different. There's different
Yeah.
like scales of hunters and their passion and involvement, which is fine. That's like kind of the fun about it. But yeah, I mean, they're not helping you like pick trees to do a hanging hunt in and stuff like that.
No, they sometimes they like to tell me where they think I should go hunt, and they don't really hunt the wind necessarily, and none of them
Well,
have
wind is for kites.
right.
We
And,
we established this.
yes,
I agree.
and growing up, I never really hunted the wind. It was just my dad and I had maybe 3 or 4 stands that we had, and it was just like, well, I think I'll go hunt this one today, and
Just going for it,
Just-
not even. It wasn't
yeah.
even on the radar.
just
Just
hope for the
going.
best. And I mean, we might have played the wind a little bit, or whatever, but most of the time it was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go to this one. I'm feeling good about this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. But I've been trying to play the wind more, using my scent crusher. I don't even know what it is.
You got the covert closet, I believe.
Yeah, the covert closet with it's like a bag or a closet.
It's
I've
a
been using-
portable sun crusher closet in like a roller bag, essentially.
Yeah, and I've been using that this year, and I think that's helped a lot, actually. Because there's sometimes with this property that I really can't play the wind all that great. And it seems like the deer always come from the opposite direction I think they're going to come. So I think it's definitely helped.
Well, yeah, but going back, you used to be an Iowa resident and then became an Illinois resident.
Yes.
So you had to like get new property and then learn the property in like a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah, I actually I acquired this property it was late summer. I think it was like last August, I believe.
Yeah, so really right before bow season, really a month.
So I went in, I walked around a little bit, and the guy that owns the place has a ton of stands up, and it's like, oh man, this looks like a great spot. And then, I walk around a little bit more, and I'm like, there's a stand right there. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, there's a stand here for a reason. It's probably a good spot.
Yeah.
So there was a couple stands that he kind of partially had up, and I just hung a stand where I thought would be a good spot, and it ended up, most of the time where his stands were, they were pretty good spots. So,
He's probably owned it for a while, hasn't he?
yeah, I don't remember how long he's owned it, but I would say probably 30 years maybe.
Oh, dang. So
Yeah.
long enough.
I mean,
that
he's had it for a while, so he kind of
Yeah.
knows where the deer travel and stuff. So that kind of helps. But, yeah, it was kind of
I had to adjust my hat.
so I've been in Illinois now for 3 years. The first year I was in Illinois, I did get permission on another small parcel. There was 2 other guys that hunted it as well, but there was like 140 acres piece.
That's a fairly big parcel, I feel like.
But I could only hunt like this small corner
Oh.
of an alfalfa field.
Right.
Which, there was either beans or corns fairly close by too, so that was good. But I always came in from the south, so if there was a south wind,
Right.
I really...
It's blowing right into where you're going.
So I could really only hunt it on like a west or a northwest wind, a north wind, I guess. So it was kind of tough. I saw a couple good bucks, but it's like super thick timber and mostly hedge trees. So
Hard to make them move.
Yeah,
Hedge is the worst, man. You can't do any. I mean, if you can hunt from the ground, but like if you're a stand hunter,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get creative real fast.
Yeah, and I had 2 stands out there because I was limited where I could actually hunt, and the one I had in a hedge tree, and directly behind me was another hedge tree, and I had absolutely no shot behind me. And of course, the 2 nice big bucks that I saw come through there,
Of course.
Right. Yeah.
walked right behind me.
They know.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, he's only 10 yards away, but I have absolutely no
Just
shot.
wicker basket.
Yeah. So I mean, it was tough. I didn't have any luck that year. I had a couple opportunities I could have shot, something younger or.
Yeah. You didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I've been in hunting long enough that kind of.
Yeah, because you've been hunting for a
Not
while, but you haven't been bow hunting as like serious for right.
Right.
That's the way I like have like concluded from just being friends with you.
Yeah, I think I started bow hunting when I was probably like 15 or 16.
So a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, but it was, I hunted some while I was in high school, and then once I got into college, it was kind of hit or miss because I was a 2-sport athlete, and I just really didn't have time to go home very much. And I played soccer during the fall, so that was...
Took up a lot of your time, yeah. Plus, it's hard to like...
And it was a 2-hour drive to go to where I was going to hunt, so...
Right,
I was a 1-sport athlete in college. Professional
Liar.
drinker.
Professional.
It's 2 sports. Is that the one sport? You were a hockey player in college, weren't you?
Paintball.
What?
I was on a paintball team, yeah.
Paintball and drinking.
That's pretty cool. I've always wanted to do that and never have.
I see
was
you've
actually
taken
really
the
fun.
drinking to the pro level though. Like you've left
Yeah, I never
college
made in
sports.
paintball, but drinking,
You're
pretty easy.
yeah.
Pretty easy.
Come natural to you.
You have the natural ability. Yeah.
Well,
I'll
I
do it
mean,
quickly.
when you're in college, though, too, it's like you're either really into bow hunting, that's your priority, or other things are a distraction. I get it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when I was in college, I grew up in a small town, and I went home as much as I could just because I really, I don't know, I guess I was wanting to be around my family quite a bit still. So I would go home quite a bit, and pretty much, I mean, there were nights that I'd get back from a soccer game at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd hop in my car and drive 2 hours to go home.
Yeah.
Just to be home. Sometimes it was for hunting. Sometimes it was just because I wanted to be home. So I did hunt. I mean, I did start fairly early, just not
Hardcore.
Yeah, just didn't dive into it head first.
But I feel I guess what I'm getting at is the last 2 years, I feel like you like elevated how serious you are about it.
Yeah,
but I haven't
sure.
really known you a whole lot,
Yeah.
longer than that. But
Yeah.
that's what my perspective is, and that's what I find interesting. Is I feel like you're becoming more and more calculated, and
Yeah.
just over a 2 year span that I've
Yeah,
known you and
I
talked to you.
mean, I've always enjoyed it. I've always, been pretty passionate about it. And I know there were times where, my dad would get the stand set up and I'd come home for the weekend and hunt. And it was just like, man, I'm not seeing the deer that I want to see. I kind of want to be hunting over here. And I'd go sit on the ground. And actually, one of the first times I ever hunted from the ground, and this was, I was limited on how many times I got to hunt. And the one time I decided, you know what, I'm going to try hunting from the ground. And I think I saw a doe and a yearling, and then there was I think it was a small little basket rack 6 following them. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
You got the pin drop on that basket rack 6? I'm interested.
I think the property sold since then. Sorry, man.
Shad buck. Talk Shad's realm
It
here.
was a shad buck for sure.
By the way, Shad has a small Racks Our Trophies 2 shirt on.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's cool.
I appreciate that.
Most people don't.
I appreciate it. Shad bucks, man.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good shad buck.
I don't. Not too many people do.
Well, everybody once loved a good shad buck.
Yeah, I'm just glad they keep letting them walk because it makes a target-rich environment for me.
Target-rich environment.
More for me.
That's right.
But then they quickly grow out of being shad bucks.
Yeah, they do. They could just stay.
So shad bucks will always be around them.
They will be.
Like if you could just pause your dog as a puppy, that's what Shad wants for all
Yeah.
bucks. Shad bucks.
That's right, man. Small time.
So you saw a shad buck.
Saw shad buck, and I knew I was limited on time, and I think it was actually probably like one of the last weekends that I really had an opportunity to hunt. I was like, you know what? If I can get this deer to come in, I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
And I'm on the ground, so that's super cool.
Add some coolness points to it.
Were you in a blind or were you
No,
just
I was just sitting next to a tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like this story
And-
more and more.
Yeah.
And
It elevates the excitement.
yeah, and it really, honestly, it's one of my most memorable hunts I've probably ever had. It was just, I went out of my comfort zone completely and just went to a different spot I'd never been in before. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. And I saw this deer coming. And I grunted a couple times at him and he stopped. And I was like, well, maybe he'll come. Maybe he won't. He's following 2 does. And next thing I know, he turns and he comes right to me and comes down this hill, and he's behind this big oak tree that's 2 feet wide. And he was maybe 20 yards away at the time. Got my bow drawn back, and he walked maybe 10 feet from me, and I put a good shot on him. It was pretty cool.
Your dad was like, you didn't sit in the stand?
Yeah. Well, he was out there. He was in one of his stands, and I texted him, I think, or called him. I can't remember. I was like, Dad, I just shot one. He's like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, no, really, I did. He's like, cool, what was it? And I was like, well, it was a small buck. But I said, man, that was the coolest hunt I think I've ever had.
Not a lot of people can say they killed one from the ground like that.
Yeah. And
I never have, I don't think. Have you
I don't
done?
have either.
that's the only one I've ever killed from the ground bow hunting. But, it was like, talk about adrenaline rush. It was one of the...
Like right in your face.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, that's
it
a way
was-
to get you hooked real fast.
I could about reach out and touch him. He was right there.
Come to think of it, I don't know. I've never killed a buck from the ground.
Really?
I just don't
You
like
almost
it.
did.
I almost did this year.
Yeah, you did. You killed a mule deer from the ground.
Well, yeah, but
You're talking about whitetail.
yeah, I'm talking about whitetails.
Okay.
Yeah, I've killed like antelope from the ground.
Yeah.
I've killed my mule
But
deer
like
from the
sitting, picking a spot, and
sitting and
on
waiting.
the
I almost
ground.
killed a
I've
buck
not.
this year on October 12th, a real big one. But I just don't feel.
I just like seeing everything.
I'm not in the game.
Yeah.
I've had sits where I'm like on the ground and I'm like, nah, I'm getting
Yeah.
in a tree.
It
I'm the same
definitely
way.
reduces your amount of visibility.
That's what I don't
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I just want, even if I'm not seeing anything up close, I still want to see
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It just helps me sit.
Yeah.
And I need that stealth factor feel,
Yeah, and there's been times like even this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit on the ground, I'm gonna go to a different spot, I'm just gonna see what I can see. There's good sign, just
Never
whatever.
know.
Yeah, you never know. And if you can get kind of tucked in somewhere where you're at least somewhat camouflaged by
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It does bring a fresh feel. You know what I mean? If you're kind of like, man, I want to mix it up. I think that's what it's cool. It's good for that. But
I can at least say I did it once. It was really cool.
No, that's
it was
badass.
cool.
There's a lot of bow hunters that have never accomplished what you accomplished there.
Yeah.
That shoot
sure.
shoot an animal from the ground at that close of a distance. That's
Yeah, no blind, no nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about size. That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah,
In the wheelhouse, yeah.
And you take it to a next level of female bow hunters who have done that. Like you've literally like stepped up the game right there. Not
Yeah, I
trying to
bet you-
like toot your horn or nothing, but that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, I was stoked. I thought it was
there you go. Toot your horn. Toot
my
it.
horn. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, it was like, man, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe
Yeah.
it happened, and that deer had no idea I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
That is awesome. So that had to got you hooked right away.
Yeah, I mean, I was hooked before that. I think I was hooked once I arrowed my first deer.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
It was pretty cool because my dad was in a stand probably, I don't know, maybe 100 yards away, and
did he see it?
it was a yearling.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was it was the first deer I ever shot with the bow, and it walked past him, and he even told me later, he's like, yeah, I was hoping you'd get a shot at it because for your first deer you just want to shoot something.
Yeah,
you know.
get you into it, get you hooked.
Yeah, and it walked right in front of me 10 yards, and I made a perfect shot. He actually saw it die.
Oh, no
It
kidding.
ran kind of back towards him.
Yeah.
And he watched it, go down, and it was dead within seconds. So
Right,
that was
right.
pretty cool.
So yeah, I mean, I don't feel like you talk about that you've been bow hunting that long, because like if you would have asked me, I'd been like, I don't really know, but I just, like I said, I've only known you a few years. But I mean, you get after it. Like this year, you're talking about hanging and hunting and doing this, and you got trail cam pictures and all that. So it's like, and it worked out, right? I mean, this year you killed an awesome buck.
Yeah, I did make a bad hit on a really nice 10-point earlier in the season, and I talked to you about it quite a bit, and you actually came out and helped me look for it.
Yeah.
Good thing is I did see it on camera, I'm pretty sure. So he's still around. I looked for 3 days to try to find him. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that
And I
sucks.
know,
But you did what you should have done. Like you kept going.
I looked for it in the rain. I mean, I was out there. I gave it,
Oh.
gave it my all to try to find it.
That's our responsibility. There's a lot of guys who be
Yeah.
like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look.
We made 100 yards, lost blood.
Yeah, then I quit.
Yeah.
That sucks to hear.
Yeah. And I mean, there wasn't an exit wound, so I knew it was going to be a hard tracking job anyway. I never did find blood, but if it's the deer that I saw on camera, it was back, it was high, I think I thought it was a better shot because I saw my lighted knock farther forward. I think that's why I thought it was a
Oh,
better
just from
shot,
like the illusion.
because of the angle, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, last half hour of
Shooting light. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
kinda tough.
That too. I think, didn't you gather that it was probably like a flesh wound or a muscle wound?
Yeah, I think I hit it like in the backstrap basically. So, and I never did find my arrow. He took it with him as far as I could see. But yeah, I think he's still. I'm pretty sure he's still running around. And I mean, it's kind of my goal
To follow up.
to follow up and try to make it happen. Still,
Yeah.
this
Make
year.
it right. Make
And
it right.
I have seen, and if it's the one that I think it is, he's still, I've seen him on camera, and actually I got a picture of him last night, and I almost went out this morning, but there's like 25 miles of winds.
I don't blame you.
and-
It's brutal right now.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what, tomorrow will be a better day, or even next weekend. Next weekend, will be
Yeah,
pretty
we
good,
need some
so.
cold weather and get on some food. But I mean, I get you were bummed about that. We looked, but you stayed after it.
Yep.
And then, I got a phone call from you. I mean, it wasn't that much longer later than that when that day happened.
I think the one I hit was the 22nd. I think it was the day after you shot your buck.
Yeah, I shot mine the 21st.
Yeah, it was the 22nd, and then I was bummed. I mean, I spent the rest. I think it was a Friday. I spent all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and part of Monday looking for that deer, and then went back out. I kind of did. I think I told you I'm doing a hard reset. I went and sat on the ground one night, just kind of clear my head, really, and then I got back in one of my stands, one of my better stands, and it was. I think it was almost a week later, right about a week later, maybe a week and a half. It was the 2nd of November.
Dude, that first week in November this year was just so good.
I know.
It was.
November 1st, I seen the most deer I've seen in one morning than I have in a long, long time.
And it was an afternoon hunt, and I remember the guy that owns the property where I hunt. He's like, "Hey, you want to join us for dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool." So we both went out hunting. I got in my stand, and it was like, I don't know, maybe half hour after I was in my stand, and I already had a doe and a yearling coming through. And I was like, "Well, that's a good sign, they're up on their feet early. That's cool." And they were actually like 10 yards behind me. It was a real still day. The wind wasn't hardly blowing. And I watched them for a while, and then I was like, man, they're headed like straight downwind to me. This isn't good. I'm like, God, come on.
Don't blow this.
Don't do
you
it.
doe.
So I'm literally sitting in my stand facing the opposite direction of where this doe is. And I'm sitting there, and pretty soon I hear her stomping her feet, and I'm just like, oh, crap.
Getting the old stomping look.
Yeah. And I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then pretty soon she blew, and I was just like, oh, Jesus.
It scares you.
Yeah, because it was so quiet, and she blew right behind me, and I was just like, oh, my God. And then, and then, of course, you're like,
Yeah, you feel like it's over.
Yeah, there goes my hunt.
Everybody in the neighborhood knows I'm over here.
Yeah. So I was like, well, it's early, maybe it'll be fine, whatever. So I'm just chilling, and it was maybe, her and the yearling went straight south of me, and it was maybe 10 minutes later, and I could hear something kind of like, it almost sounded like could have been a squirrel, could have been anything, could have been turkey scratching, whatever. But to me, it kind of sounded like a buck maybe tearing up some brush or whatever, and I was like, man, that might be a buck. I waited. I could have swore I heard a real low, like really quiet grunt,
Yeah.
I was like,
Which is how most grunts are.
yeah, just, and I was like, oh, that might be a buck. And
I
then-
love when you hear that, dude.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah. I'm
Such a
like,
good feeling.
okay, there's a buck. Cool. And
Yeah.
then, I still didn't know for sure. And so I kind of peek around my tree, and I could see something moving back there, but I still couldn't really tell what it was. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw one grunt at it, see if it responds. If it's a buck, hopefully it will. So I grunt once, and then I can hear the thrashing again. And I was like, okay, well, cool. Maybe it is a buck. And then I could hear him pawing at the ground. I was like, okay. all
Yeah,
right,
it's adding up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting excited.
it
I'm like,
is
it's a buck.
buck.
Might be a little one. Could be a monster. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Shad buck.
yeah, shad buck. Could be a Austin Chandler buck.
Could be a Chandler buck.
A Lord buck.
The Lord's buck.
That's a
Doug buck.
very wide range.
There's a lot of types of bucks in between a shad
Yeah.
buck and a Lord buck.
So I get stood up. I get my bow. I get ready, and I get my binoculars up, and I'm looking, trying to figure out what it is. And he's only maybe 50 yards behind me, but he's through a bunch of honeysuckles, so it's hard to see.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it's a decent buck. I can't really see him, but all right, cool. So then I was like, do I grunt again? Do I just wait? And I was like, no, I'm just gonna wait, see what happens. Pretty soon he comes walking straight to me, like straight behind me, and I'm kind of turned around like my left side, because that's usually where the deer tend to come. It's on the left side of this tree, and of course he gets almost straight behind me and then goes to the right of me. So I'm already turned to my left waiting. And then the tree I'm in is pretty good size, so I'm like trying to turn around.
Yeah.
And, since I'm right-handed, I got to turn all the way around.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm like, my chest is like facing the tree at this point.
And you got your harness strap,
my
like
harness,
doing
yeah.
funky stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Move that.
I'm
I'm like-
I'm so weird with that.
Yeah. And so my harness is like just about wrapped around my neck at this point. So he comes walking in, and he's literally 5 yards from my tree, base of my tree. So
That's a hard shot angle too.
It is a hard shot
But
angle.
he's perfectly broadside.
Yeah.
He's standing right there, and I just pulled back and let it go. And he actually, once it hit him, I knew it was a good shot. I mean, if I was gonna mess up a 5-yard shot, I should probably rethink what I'm doing here.
Yeah, but it's like Chad said, that's a hard shot.
That's-
Yeah.
And you'll find out that not a lot of people practice at that. Like you
Yeah.
get those opportunities, but how many times are you practicing from a tree stand,
Yeah, straight down.
shooting at 5 to 8 yards?
And I think a lot of it is it's like where you normally would anchor. It's all because you have to tilt at your waist. You could have your you could have everything up higher because you tilted your bow arm down, and then next thing you know, you shoot over it or under it or something wild.
It's way more difficult than people think.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And when you execute that shot like that, like you did at 5, like if you do that perfectly, man, that's something.
I always talk about this, or I brought it up in the past. I shot a buck at like 5-6 yards one year, and I use a knock point as a kisser button. And I remember when I drew back, I leaned over, and as I was drawing back, I'm like, where is my kisser button? And I was like, oh crap, like I would have shot right over this buck. And then I settled back in with my kisser and made a good shot.
Right.
But if it wasn't for having that kisser and me thinking about it in the moment, I think I would have shot right over him.
Yeah.
So props to you for making the shot. That's a harder
Thanks.
shot.
Appreciate it.
Because
It is much harder than people think.
well, we've done
awkward.
some fun 3D shoots or whatever, and they'll have a target at like 1 yard, and you don't put it on 1 yard.
Yeah.
There's on HHA, there is no one. You put it on like 100, so it drops the pin down to your arrow. Pretty much.
You'd be amazed at how hard those shots are.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. It was.
good job, Casey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I saw where
Sorry.
I saw where I hit him. It was kind of high, like just right behind the shoulder blade, which is about perfect if you're shooting straight down.
Right. Yeah.
And he took off. Actually, he ran into a fence, busted the arrow off. And there was a bunch of blood where he was standing, and then he ran kind of back behind me and then off to my left. And it's kind of open where he ran. And I watched him run, and he ran about 60, 70 yards maybe, and he just stopped, flicked the tail, started getting a little wobbly, just laid down. And I was like, thank God. Like,
It just
I needed
worked
that.
out, yeah.
I needed that after that bad hit this year. And he just laid down, and 2 seconds later, his head went down. And I remember I took a picture and sent it to you, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to have a hard time finding this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, thank God. I really needed that.
It like restores confidence in you. You feel good about it because it was ethical.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does a lot for your morale.
Yeah.
Plus,
And-
I came out and took pictures for you, and then it's just cool. Like you got good red meat. You feel efficient when it goes down like that.
How it should be.
for sure.
Yeah, how it should be. It's like it's nice when you've been struck, because sometimes you hit a streak, man, which is like nothing works out for you.
Nothing
yeah.
goes your way.
So when it does work out, it's like, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Finally.
And then I remember too, like after I made that bad shot on that one buck, I went back. I was like, okay, I'm shooting my bow. What did I do? I was like, man, why am I off?
Oh, you were off?
I was off like, I think it was like 6 inches at like 30 yards. I was like, how am I off so much? Well, my bow got banged around. One of the screws came loose. I had to completely
just wear and tear pretty much using it.
I had to get things set back up again. And
a lot of things that can get weird too, in like the heat of the moment. We did the podcast with Mark called Slow the Game Down, and a lot of it, it's like sometimes you have to just like, okay, here he is, calm down, draw your bow, okay, anchor, peep sight, there we are, settle, squeeze. Like you almost have to like walk yourself through a situation, especially if like a big deer comes in, you have a long time to watch him.
Yeah.
And you start getting worked up, and then you feel your brain you start losing track of your mindset a little bit because you're worked up about it, which is like, that's what makes it kind of fun, because it gets us so excited.
Yeah.
But I think slow the game down it's hard to do.
Especially when the adrenaline starts pumping.
oh,
Yeah.
for sure. And it was, the one that I hit earlier this year. It was the biggest buck I ever drew back on. I know I rushed it. I was worried he was going to get right downwind of me because the wind was heading right to him, and I know I rushed it, and I should have waited.
Your mindset, you start thinking fast.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get my wind. I got to shoot him. This is a big buck. I need to just, as soon as he clears this brush, I need to just nail him,
Yeah.
And, it's.
Slow the game down.
Yep, I definitely have to.
A shot process does help, and I know Chad, you probably.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything that you go like? Do you have a word or anything that you do? Like I have like mine is breathe, especially shooting a compound.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to holding at full draw with a traditional bow like that. Like my index finger hits the corner of my mouth and it's gone.
Right.
And I've found out that I hold my breath if I'm holding for too long. So like I always tell myself breathe, and if I breathe, I relax.
Gotcha,
and everything
yeah.
goes. So do you guys have anything like that?
I don't know.
That
Do you?
slows it down, or that?
No, mine's more just the pin.
Yeah.
I gotta focus on the pin more than anything.
Mine's just like my mental checklist of like my shot process. But a lot of times I try to make sure you're aiming how you always aim.
Yeah.
Like that's where your pin is.
Yeah.
Squeeze through, bear it, and then let it go. Like I'm like focused on like the pin is where you want it.
Yeah.
Like you're not like, I try to make sure I'm not all over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've gotten a lot better with it in the last 5 years. Where I was like younger, maybe hadn't had as many like deer in front of me. It's sometimes it's hard. Like I had a big buck on me this year that didn't work out, and I found myself slipping. Mentally, I was slipping because the deer was so big.
Yeah.
But I got excited. But it was one of those situations where it was just it just wasn't working out. Like he wasn't on a trail, he was on a field edge, and I was like allowing myself to get excited. When I like to wait to get excited after the shot.
Yeah.
And I could feel myself mentally just
Yeah,
slipping.
I've done that before where you're getting excited if he might not even come in. So when he is coming in, you get excited about that, and then you kind of lose track of where you want to be.
Your thinking gets kind of like, your thinking kind of jams into your next thought on what you need to do in that process.
It's like a traffic jam or something.
Oh, and that's just when things just start spiraling downhill, and you almost need to like pull yourself out of that.
Miss your
I mean,
exit.
kind of. But yeah, I mean, I went through it a little bit this year. What do you do?
Yeah.
But it's just, that's part of the fun of it, man. If it worked out every single time you went to the woods, it wouldn't be as cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like last year I had I killed 2 does and both the shots were like perfect.
Money, yeah.
First one was double lung, second one was perfect heart shot, and I watched that one go down basically. So
Is there anything better than watching like the shot you wanted to make like just be executed, and it was like ethical, and it's going to be fast, and it's just the things lined up how you think about all year.
yeah.
That's a great feeling, man. I love it.
There's always that weird feeling when you shoot it between it going down and you watching it, and it's like a long pause, like you're waiting. Like I don't know, I've referred to like a hockey, like when someone's on a breakaway for like a shootout or something, and then they score. It's like a long pause, and then it goes down. And you're just like everything just hits.
I think it's just a mental thing.
Yeah.
It seems longer than what it was. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it's like the adrenaline of the moment
It's crazy.
or what, but like when I shoot a deer, I'm like buried on it until I cannot see it anymore. I try to be, because I try to be like, how's he acting? Where's he going? Where did I last see him? Which is tough to do with all that going on.
I'm colorblind, so I've had to train myself to do that.
Oh,
like
really?
I have to. Yeah, I landmarks, all that stuff is very, very important to me because I don't
didn't know
see
you were
blood.
colorblind.
Yeah, I don't see blood very well at all, like
man.
at all. So
I've hunted with some guys that were colorblind. I'd always have to go on blood trails with them.
it's a trip. My wife loves to make fun of me for it. 'Cause she's like, you literally can't see that. I'm like, no.
Like, what colors can't you see? Red, red and orange.
I can see a lot of colors. I just can't distinguish what they are.
What color is that mug?
That I have no idea. It could be yellow or orange to
Orange.
me.
How do you see it? As like a grayish color?
No, I see it as yellow. I don't know what it is. I see a color, but I can't tell you what color it is because the colors that I'm saying look the same to me.
Oh, really?
And I figured that out by reading crayons as a kid.
Yeah.
Like that's literally how I figured out I was colorblind.
I imagine it varies. The guys I hunted with, I was like, explain it. He goes, when you look at an apple tree, how you can see the apples? He goes, I don't see the apples.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I'm like, oh, interesting.
And I can see blood on things that you wouldn't really like. I've learned to look at different things to find blood on.
You're probably seeing blotches.
And if it's blood on like where you guys people can see like on a dark leaf on the ground, I won't see it.
What if you
but like the
cut
bright
your finger?
I can see that. It's contrasting colors.
Okay. Oh no, that makes sense.
So it's like a bright green leaf. You
Yeah,
can see the
but if it's a
red.
bright green, like chest high kind of foliage leaf, dude, I can see blood on that. That's where I look. I don't even look for it on the ground. I'm looking for like that
got
chest
you.
high stuff,
Right,
And I
right.
can see that like nothing.
Which you might be a good guy to have on the team to mix up from guys looking on the ground and you looking up. Well, I took one of those guys that was colorblind with me on a deer eye shot. Then I let the deer go overnight, recover from the next morning. And right when we get to like first blood, he's like, well, I can see that blood. I'm like, okay, if the colorblind guy is picking out the blood, well, we might find this deer.
Yeah,
a good sign.
It's funny though because I'll have. I mean, it'll look like a murder scene. And I'll be like, going, where's the blood? Stacy will be like, it's literally everywhere.
You're good, Chad.
Yeah.
standing on
She's
it.
like, because she'll be walking. I'm like, are you on blood? And she'll be like, yeah. All right. Do you not see it? I'm like, we've been together for 15 years.
Yeah,
Like there's been very few
leave me
blood
alone,
trails that she hasn't
Stacy.
been on. Right. And she loves blood trail. Like she's killed a few deer and she doesn't like to really hunt or anything anymore, but
I
she loves
respect
the
it.
blood trail.
Yeah.
And I hate it. It's the most nerve wracking part of me because I can't see it.
Right.
So she'll be walking, and I know the processes that we have to go through. And I'd be like, "Are you sure you're on blood?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm on blood. We've done this before. Like, keep up."
That's hilarious.
And I'm like sitting back here just like staring at the ground. It
That's
works.
gotta be frustrating.
That's a deer turd shed.
Yeah. And there'll be like times when there's water on a leaf. You'll see me like I'm touching it. I'll touch it and look at my fingers. And
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I've done the peroxide trick before where I used to carry like spray bottles of peroxide in my pack. And
I seen somebody do that this year for the first time with a blood tracking dog. He found a spot of blood and I was like, wow, I didn't.
Yeah.
Makes sense, but
Yeah.
It'll distinguish between water and blood real fast with that.
yeah. Well, Casey didn't need any help. Successful hunt.
That's true.
She shoots better than I do.
Really good buck.
I don't
She's
know
better
about
than
that.
us.
He's a big 9-pointer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome buck.
He's, I mean, definitely my biggest bow buck.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a little bit of success with shotgun, which kind of veering away from that a little bit.
Just because you're getting so into bow hunting.
Yeah, I'm just really passionate about bow hunting, and like even this year, I went out first season with shotgun, and I'm just like, man, I just don't feel right sitting in a tree with a gun anymore.
Didn't feel the same to you. I respect that. And more shoulder mounts for the house.
Yeah, my wife will love that.
You got no choice.
Yeah,
Got no choice. Well, congrats.
thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you for doing this
Yeah.
working class on DeerCast episode.
Yep.
Throw you right to the wolves, right on the big leagues here.
Yeah, I know. That's
So,
kind of special.
You did well. First time ever podcasting.
Cool.
I think you're the first.
I didn't fall flat on my face.
No, you didn't.
good.
Some people do.
It's not over yet, so careful.
Yeah, like we still
have time.
This is the hard part now. I was going to say something, but my jokes won't resonate to everybody but Casey. So thank you for being here.
Be our secret little, inside joke.
Tell you after. I was going to say you're the first gay woman we've ever had on the podcast. So we're checking boxes. We're checking all our social boxes
Yeah.
because we have to meet it's kind of like
It's
HR.
like a quota.
Like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
quota. Yeah. Okay.
I fit 2 of those. I'm female and I'm gay.
Okay. We got them here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got 2 check boxes
Here.
just from having
Done
me here.
and done.
Uh-huh.
And done.
Yep. Right.
Yep.
HR's going to love that.
Yeah. I'll send that in. Okay. We got that. We're so stupid.
Yeah.
You guys want to add anything in or anything like that? You want to plug your Instagrams?
No.
Or do anything? Cool.
Not really.
Chad, you got anything?
No, man.
Not really.
I'm stoked to be here with her. Like, female bow hunters, man, there's not enough of them.
There's not.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And those that are out there don't get enough credit. So,
Agreed.
I mean, they're doing the same thing we're doing out there and grinding just as hard. And
Highly agree with that, man.
Speaking of grinding, I'd like to kind of talk about how I acquired this property. It's kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, oh man, I don't have a place to hunt. And I know when I moved to Illinois, a lot of people were like, oh, good luck finding a place to hunt, especially where I'm at.
It's tough.
There's a lot of people that hunt. And I was, if you need a hunting place, get a goat, turn it loose. That's how I got my property. I mean, not really. She got out, but so
worked.
we were just new into getting goats. We have some timber on our property that we wanted cleaned up, and we're like, well, let's get some goats. They're really good at it. Well, we had this younger goat, smaller goat, I guess. Her name's Greta. She's this little long-haired pygmy goat, and she's an escape artist. She gets out a lot.
I think all goats are.
Yeah.
By the way, why have goats? But we'll talk about that in another podcast.
I know you hate goats.
I don't hate
but-
goats. Just don't get it.
Yeah. Well, if you saw what they did to the timber that I wanted cleared out, you'll understand.
I get that part.
I mean, it went from like you couldn't walk through it to you can see clear through it now.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
I have heard that's the value in them for sure.
So, I got home one day and my wife's like, I don't know where Greta is. She's nowhere around. It's like, well, go get the food container. I'm sure she's not far. Rattle the food in the container and usually she comes running. We're walking all over the property, the neighbor's property, trying to find her. And I happened to walk kind of down our driveway and I saw goat droppings. And I'm like, well, I think she went this way. So she literally headed straight north, made it across the road. And then there's a cornfield, standing corn. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
This goat's literally like a foot and a half tall.
goes into
like,
300 acres of standing
Just
corn.
living the dream.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So
Jackpot.
there's probably like, I don't know, 50 acres of corn, and then there's timber. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I tell my wife, I was like, get on the side by side, just start literally knocking on doors. Just go ask anybody if they've seen this damn goat.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to walk between the corn and the timber. I'm going to go ask permission to walk through here. Got permission. I walk through along this cornfield. Didn't see any sign of her or nothing. I get to It's probably about half a mile north of me. We meet up at this neighbor's house, and we're just like, hey, if you see a goat, let us know. I hop on the side-by-side. We're going back around, go to knock on another door, and pretty soon this lady texts us, and she says, I think your goat's on my back deck. And I'm like, first of all, this goat, I think, was a dog in her past life because she tries to come into the house if she's not in the pen. So she's literally standing on the back deck of this lady's house. So we go over there with the side-by-side, grab the goat, put the goat on the side-by-side on the seat in the middle between us, and we start driving back to the house. And I looked at Anna and I just go, if anybody sees us driving down the road with a goat on our side-by-side, they're going to think we're nuts.
Well,
and
probably.
Literally like 30 seconds later, this guy pulls down the gravel road, stops his truck in the middle of the road, and is just laughing. And he's like, of all my years I've lived out here, this has got to be about the funniest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. So we continue to talk to this guy. We're talking to him, and never met him before. We're talking to him, and he mentioned something about where he lives, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I've been stalking your property on Onyx because I want to hunt this place,
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I know where you live, just down the road, dead end, you know. All right, cool. And he said something about the deer eating his garden. It's like, hey, if you ever need somebody to help thin out the herd, let me know. I'm a bow hunter and kind of new to the area, new to the state. I need a place to hunt. He's like, come see me sometime. And I was just like,
what does that mean?
oh my God, for real? Like,
you should have been like, I'm gay, right?
That's my wife over here.
But I was just like, oh my God, I'm trying not to get too excited in front of the guy. We get home, and I remember telling my wife, I was like, I want to go over there like right now and talk to this guy because I'm like so excited. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, this could be a really good opportunity for me.
Right next to home. Like, that's kind of like the dream, right?
It's literally like maybe a mile and a half down the road.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, I know he's got like 80 acres. This is perfect. So I was like, I can't go over there like
right now, yeah.
Probably not tomorrow. Maybe I'll give it a couple days. So I gave it a couple days, and then I just drove over there, and he's like, yeah, come in, have a seat, talk to him. He's like, yeah, me and my buddy Gary hunt out here, but you're more than welcome to come out here and
it's pretty
hunt
cool
with us. And I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I like totally just won the lottery because it doesn't really happen that often.
No. And then to kill a deer there too.
Yeah. And, I was knocking on doors and, trying to gain access to property around me anywhere I could, talking to farmers, talking to my...
That's the grind.
Yep. Talking to my father-in-law, just like, man, I don't even care if it's, something small. I need something. Like it was tough going from, my dad owns a feed store and he knows all the farmers in the area
in Iowa.
Yeah, in Iowa. It's like I could pretty much hunt just about anywhere, but
people don't realize like the amount of work it takes to get permission pieces. Yeah. If you're not willing to pay, you got to do some work.
Yeah.
And that's whether the work is talking to people. I mean, you had to chase a goat.
Yeah.
But like even when I know like if that guy calls you, hey, I need to get some work done over here. Could you lend a helping hand?
Yeah, for sure.
You feel pretty obligated to go help.
Yeah. And it's not even really that I feel obligated. Like,
but you want to though.
Yeah. I want to help him for one. And most of the time I'm like, hey, if you need help, call me. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll do it myself, but it's like, dude, just call me. Like, I'll come help you. I'm
a mile and a half away.
I'm like, it's the least I can do is just drive my side-by-side over here and I'll,
Yeah. I'll bring my goat.
Yeah, I'll bring my goat.
I'll come with.
Yeah. And there has been times where he's like, hey, my tractor died. Can you help me? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll be right over. And I, go over and help him. And
that's cool.
I try to help out as much as I can. And, I feel like it's the least I can do.
Right, of course. Well, I respect the grind there. A lot of people don't realize, the work it takes to have permission pieces, or you got to buy a lease. It's tough now.
Right.
Nowadays, it's different, different than what it was. But I hope that you kill another. Maybe you could follow up on that buck that you wounded.
I'm hoping to,
because he looked good in the trail cam picture.
Yeah, you still got another tag, right?
Yeah, still got
2 in Illinois.
You got time. You got late season. I think you'll get it done.
Yeah.
I think you go to the food.
I kind of took a little break because the activity's been kind of slow, but
firearm season halts it up for us here, but it'll get good.
Yep.
And Dougie, you got another tag.
Yep, late muzzleloader coming up here soon.
Okay, we'll see when this episode launches. If Dougie's got another one down. Predict the future.
Hey, hey.
Well, cool. Another episode in the books.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Congrats.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in, watching, and listening. We appreciate you. Go shoot a giant. Working Class on DeerCast, another giant tracker segment. We have Dakota Bix calling in from work on your lunch break, right?
Yep, that's right.
Who are you and where are you from? Let's start with that.
I'm Dakota Bix. I'm located here in the southeast corner of Iowa, in Wapello County. I just recently started here in Cargill and Eddyville, Iowa. I'm in orientation. I'm on lunch break right now. But before that, I was over at Ajinomoto across the road for 2 years running MSG, which is sodium glutamate. And I ran the product out of the hoppers into 50-pound bags, 2,000-pound bags, and 100-pound drums. So
very cool, man. Getting after it. It's kind of in orientation, and you're doing an interview with me, just another idiot here. So I'll be conscious of your time, so I don't get you fired right off the rip because you had to,
you're good, man.
You had to talk to me. But man, so I put a post out just asking, who used DeerCast and killed a deer in result of DeerCast, or if DeerCast played a role in your success on killing a deer. And you and I got to talking about this awesome buck, really unique looking deer that you killed in Iowa. And we'll show some pictures of it. I was drawn to like just the look of the deer. He's very unique. And he's got a lot of cool character. And so let's talk about this buck, man. Is this a deer you had history with, or how did it all play out?
So, yeah, I never had any previous history with this deer, no pictures, no encounters, nothing until the fall of 2021. Early September, a big cold front moved through. So I decided to go for a drive scouting around. And I spotted this deer about 100 yards away in this bean field on the neighbors where I have permission to hunt. But I glassed him. The first thing I ever noticed was that sweet crab claw he has on his right side.
Yeah.
So he was a pretty unique deer. He was definitely a recognizable deer if I was to see him. And then fast forward to September 22nd, I got just one picture of him at night in the food plot that I made that fall in August. But
and that's the picture you sent me, right? The one photo.
Yep. Yep, just this one side picture is the only picture I ever had of him. But I knew it was the same deer I seen in that bean field just because of that dual crab claw that he had.
Yeah.
But so that was the only picture I had him during the season. I had no encounters with him. I never had any more pictures of him. So, I figured he was out of the area or something. But I kind of had an idea where he was bedding, but I wasn't for sure on that. I kind of stayed out of there till the morning of October 23rd was first time I seen him. The same day I shot him. But the hunt started out pretty slow in the morning on October 23rd. But a big cold front moved in, and the night before I checked DeerCast, and it said that morning was supposed to be great. So, and then it was the first true east wind we had, which I needed to go try hunting this deer where I kind of had an idea where I thought he was anyways, just because of previous years, that's where they like to bed and whatnot.
Doesn't that kind of suck waiting on an east wind? It seems like you get those less frequently than anything else. So you kind of like just waiting for it. Yeah.
I mean, you hardly ever get them here in Southeast Iowa anyways, but
same here, same in our area.
Yeah. Yep. But I finally got an east wind to go in after him. Morning started out slow. I seen one doe right at first daylight, but the deer I ended up shooting was only the second deer I seen all that morning. But to start off the hunt with him is about 8 o'clock. I heard some trees thrashing. I could tell it was deer, but it was so thick down there I couldn't really tell what it was.
Yeah,
I couldn't see any deer actually, but I could tell it was a deer thrashing some trees down there. And of course, this time of year, the pre-lock phase, they start getting pretty fired up looking for the first available does and kind of making it known to other bucks. That's my territory. But I heard that. I couldn't see what it was, so I didn't want to call or nothing until I got a visual of them. But about 10 minutes go by, and I just get this glimpse in the corner of my eye of a deer down at the bottom of this ridge I was hunting. So I was hunting at 3/4 up this ridge, overlooking all this thick bedding area. And I seen him about 80 yards away when I first seen him. And he was kind of headed towards, it'd be the southwest on the next ridge over.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw my binos up and I instantly knew what deer it was just because of that crab claw. So I remember seeing DeerCast marginal on that phase for deer luck. It's a good time to start calling. So I just kind of faced my grunt call to the left and just gave him one soft grunt. And he whipped his head up. I definitely got his attention. And after that, you could just tell he was just all fired up.
Yeah.
He started coming on a string, snort wheezed at me, grunting. You just tell he was in one of those moods. He was, And
then you see that as a hunter, and you're like, man, I'm in the chips right here. Like things are going to happen.
Right. And it usually doesn't happen that way, it feels like, but
yeah. Well, at least, especially if he like looks interested right off the rip from one grunt. I mean, good on you too for just hitting him with one to where his curiosity is going to basically eat himself alive with that. So yeah, once you get him to react that way and everything's like going good, it just gives you that like, oh shit, things are about to go down type of vibe,
yeah, It's just a confidence. It's like, you're in the game.
Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, he was about 80 yards away when that happened, and he just came on a string. And he got to about, I ranged him about 42 yards, and he just stood there glancing around, trying to figure out where that grunt came from.
Mm-hmm.
He was just trying to get a visualization of another buck in the area, but he did that felt like forever. It was probably like within seconds he was doing that.
Yeah,
but
of course,
yeah, you know how it is. But yeah, he finally turned broadside for me at 42, and I pulled back on him, settled my pen, and let the arrow fly. And right off the bat, I knew it was a marginal hit. It was ended up being liver and clipped the guts on the exit hole. But yeah, he ran off, and my gut sank. I was like, oh man. And then he ran off a little ways and just kind of stood there. And I was like, man, I don't know about this hit, And then he went towards the north it's kind of like it turns into kind of a bowl, and where I'm sitting, he kind of disappeared on me, and I couldn't tell where he was. So I figured he went down there, bedded down, or was licking his wounds or something, So I waited about 15, 20 minutes, got down out of my tree, and just wanted to go get my arrow and get out of there, leave him alone. And then I went over there, down there to where the impact hit. And it took me like 20 minutes to try to find my arrow. I don't know if it hit off a bone or something, ricocheted or what, but there's no blood right where I hit him or nothing. The only blood I had was right on the arrow. So yeah, first thing I did is grab my arrow, and then I got on DeerCast and tried to pin on DeerCast track and try to kind of come up with all the places I could have hit them.
Dude, thank God for that, because I don't know, if you didn't have that, I think you would probably drive yourself a little crazier in a hit like this, because a liver gut hit is not fun, but it's part of the game sometimes. And that DeerCast can make you feel confident, or make like with the DeerCast track, how to approach the situation when your excitement level and anxiety and you're worried about the animal. You're already feeling weird because you didn't see the deer go down. You're just, a ton is going through your head. So like that feature can really it can either help you a ton or make you worry, or validate where your worry should be, I guess is probably the better way of putting it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it was a game changer for me, because me personally, I've never hit a deer in the liver or guts. I didn't know how long to wait or whatever, but I narrowed it down where it said to wait 8 to 12 hours, basically is what it was. So yeah, when I was headed up to the top of the ridge to head out there, I looked down to the north, and about 100 yards, he's just standing there.
Oh, you can see.
And I don't know. Yeah, he was just over there, hunched over. You could tell he was hurting pretty bad. And so, yeah, I don't know if you heard me get down on my tree stand and go look for the arrow, and you end up going over there, but I never watched him walk up it or nothing. He just ended up being there when I was headed out. And good thing he was facing the other way so I could sneak out of there. But yeah, I waited a good 10 hours on him, like DeerCast told me to. And then after the 10 hours, I went back where I last seen him, try to see if I could get any blood or anything. There wasn't a single drop of blood or nothing. I'm like, man, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
So me, my brother-in-law, and my father started grid searching in the area, and it took us 20 minutes of grid searching. We couldn't find him. And my other brother-in-law, he mowed a path by all this thick bedding over there for some odd reason. I don't understand why, but it's a good thing he did, because that was the last place we walked, and to the left of it was him laying there belly up.
No kidding. Expired already and everything.
Yeah, he was done. But come to find out, the reason I didn't find no blood is that part of the guts kind of clogged the hole, so he mainly just bled internally.
Yeah. How far from where you were walking out initially after the shot and you saw him hunched over, how far from there to where you found him near that mowed path was he? Like, what's the different distance there?
So from where I shot him to where I last seen him before I started tracking, as the crow flies, probably 150, 200 yards. And then where I last seen him, where we went first, he was only about 50 yards away, dead.
Yeah, which isn't, I mean, it sounds like a long distance when you look at it like on paper, but in reality, that deer could have went a long, long way if you would have went in prematurely and bumped him and all that, you know?
Right. Yeah. If it wasn't for DeerCast telling me to wait 10 hours, I mean, I would have went in there, a couple hours or something, and might have bumped him. You might have been the next county over.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, man, it's good on you though, for like thinking through good on, like, you really did everything that you should have done. I mean, the shot, of course you want like a double lung shot, whatever, and watch the deer go down.
Right.
But for the circumstance of the situation, as far as not overcalling at this deer, waiting on the right wind, sneaking out of there, giving them the 10-hour time period, going in right, like doing everything you could to recover the deer on a marginal hit. So mad props to you, man. Good on you for doing that, because I mean, that's how a pro would handle it. I don't know how long you've been bow hunting, but it seems like you're a seasoned pro at that.
About 10 years. Well, not quite 10 years, about 8 or 9 years. I've been bow hunting, been hunting since I was probably about 11 years old.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations. So let's talk about this
thanks.
buck. I mean, what is he?
He's a mainframe 10 with 3 extra kickers, and he ended up grossing 172 and 5/8.
Awesome.
So,
very cool.
Yep, my biggest to date.
Yeah, it's a great looking deer. The character on him is just amazing. The first thing I was like, man, that's an awesome buck, just what he's got going on. So congratulations, man.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Well, it's good to hear that like DeerCast is helping people, and it's a tool, right?
It's a game changer for sure. Yeah, it's helped me a lot.
I mean, you've hunted long enough, like you know some of these things more, but it's nice to get like the reassurance through DeerCast. But for somebody that's a new bow hunter that might have been in your shoes with a marginal hit, I mean, that can make the big difference right there of like where to even start,
right.
Where do you even begin to recover an animal that's liver hit or someone hits it in the guts or whatever. I mean, that's a big deal. So I think it's helping a lot more people than the internet likes to admit or realizes at times, but it's just cool to hear how you applied it where you applied it.
Yeah, it definitely was a game changer for me because, like I said, if I hadn't used DeerCast and knew exactly how long to wait, I might have went in there and moved that deer to the next county.
Well, a part of you wants to, like, regardless of what like you watch on Outdoor Channel or some of the streaming networks and stuff, what other hunters tell you, or the TV hunters, I guess, you always hear to wait or when in doubt, back out. But when it's your deer and you're in the moment, like you kind of want to, even on a marginal hit, like part in your head's like, what if I could sneak in there and try to ethically get another shot in. And,
Right.
That goes through, I think, every hunter's head on a situation like this, but sometimes you don't have that option, especially in like thick cover like that. I mean,
Right. Exactly.
Sometimes it's impossible, but a lot
Makes
can
it
go
tough.
through your head. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you start getting doubt and everything else, and it's more kind of a reassurance thing too. So
yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here and sharing your story on your lunch break. Well, let's get back to it so I don't get you fired.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, that would suck. You'd call me back in 30 minutes. We're like, well, help me find a new job. Do you want to plug your Instagram or anything like that, man? Where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook.
Cool. All right. Yep. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And best of luck to you next season. Hopefully, kill a bigger one. We'll be doing this interview all over again.
Yeah, hopefully.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. You know what to do. Go shoot a giant. We love you guys.